Who has a question?
This
Yes.
is Cass.
Who is it?
This is Cass.
Cass, yes, welcome.
Thank you. First, I want to thank you for all the tools that you've passed on over the years on the CDs.
It's our pleasure, and if you apply these tools, then give yourself an A+.
It's been remarkable.
Yes, our teachers like to listen when we get a little praise here and there, because we too have to pass tests. We have others that help us understand. We had to learn how to work with you and what to give you. So what's your question, Cass?
My question is about the death portal. I come from a part of the country where there's a law that allows physician-assisted suicide.
There's a lot of
physician-assisted suicide.
Physician-assisted suicide. Would that be Oregon?
Yes.
Right.
And my question is, when people choose that, does that affect their soul growth? Do they have to come back and redo that whole...
It's a very good question. Now, we'll give you some background on this. When the Anunnakis first starting some of their genetic experiments hundreds of thousands of years ago, they couldn't get the spirit of beings to animate the life forms. And then when the spirit would come in some of their cloned life forms, remember, you can make a clone, but something's got to activate it. When people die, the life force leaves, the blood's still there, but there's nothing to turn the engine on. You get it? So they needed beings to turn the engine on of these clones they were making. They finally figured it out to get some of the beings to come in. The beings would come in, and the beings would be there for a while, and they'd say, this is no fun. And they started suiciding. This isn't fun. Why are we in this? We're trapped in these Anunnaki dead-end bodies. So they started at one point in the genetic experimentation. The Anunnakis had to deal with their genetic experiments self-annihilating. It panicked them. Every experiment for a long time would self-annihilate, self-destroy. Hence, the great forbidden stricture of never commit suicide, never take your life. Because if the beings kept taking their lives, the Anunnaki couldn't get workers. You follow? You see how one little something translates to something else? Now, is it a good idea to say, you know, my lover doesn't love me anymore, I got fired from my job, well, I live again and again, I think I'll just end it now. I'll shoot for another body in a few weeks. First of all, you have emotional connections, and it's the pain that you cause one another when you suicide. When children predecease their parents because they can't figure out how to cope and live and either commit suicide or exit the planet, it's devastating, devastating, emotionally abandoning to those who are there. Yet you put your pets and animals down with effortless grace and ease, even though you may not want to put Fluffy to sleep. Fluffy is suffering, and you rise to the level of compassion rather than have Fluffy go through 5 more days of dragging its body around. So this is going to be a big question. When to hold them and when to fold them. When is it okay to create assisted exit? Is it punishable? It's not punished, but if you are going to make a habit of doing this, it's going to be not so good. But if you are a person suffering, really very, very bad suffering, what you have forgotten how to do is to leave of your own volition. Some of the Anunnaki experiments, their suicide was to leave by their own volition. They didn't slit their wrists or take medications. They said, we're out here. At one time, it was much easier for humans to will their spirit out. Of course, this became a great threat for those who could do it. women were called witches, men were called warlocks, if they could bilocate, if they could OOB, or if they could say, you think you are going to torture me? Go for it, I'm finished. It was a fail-safe ability if you needed it. Do you understand? Rather than to be destroyed or be stuck or be tortured, the body is built as a built-in, what would you call it, a parachute exit doorway, that if you knew how to use it, you could extricate yourself in time of difficulty. Your struggles with dying show how far you have dissociated yourself with knowing how to use the biological computer that you are. Yet you are closing the gap, and in the next few years, the discoveries that you can make are unprecedented. Do your best to live with grace. Does that help you, Cass?
Yes, thank you.
Good. People choose all different kinds of things. All right, who has...